Every year, more than 11 million live bulls leave one side of the world and arrive at another, alive, breathing, eating, standing. It's a migration that doesn't follow nature's seasons, but trade routes. A quiet operation that unfolds behind closed ship decks, rural highways, and port cranes. To move 11.3 million live animals across continents is not just an act of logistics, it's industrial choreography. It's like relocating the entire cattle population of Australia. Not over a century, but every 12 months. Few notice it, fewer understand it, but it's happening, now, everywhere. Each animal represents a logistical paradox, strong and heavy, yet biologically fragile when displaced. A single bull weighs between 500 and 100 kilograms, mass that moves, breathes, resists. To transport them across long distances without causing collapse, mechanical or biological, every truck, trailer, and ship is engineered down to the millimeter. Suspensions are recalibrated to absorb micro-vibrations. Corrals are designed to flex without harming the herd. Entire transit systems are modeled around reducing cortisol levels, managing temperature gradients, and maintaining balance. Because in livestock transport, stress is measured in kilos lost, injuries sustained, and lives at risk. Inside a livestock ship, nothing is improvised. Modular corrals shift on hydraulic platforms. Air quality is managed like a pharmaceutical lab. Feed, water, and waste disposal are automated. Temperature sensors and gas monitors form an invisible nervous system, detecting changes before the animals suffer them. In many ways, the internal logistics of a modern livestock vessel resemble the interior of a deep-sea mining platform, compartmentalized, controlled, self-regulating. Both systems are engineered to function in hostile, isolated environments where life support and structural balance must coexist under pressure. But perhaps the most striking thing is how hidden all this is. Few people imagine the machinery that keeps thousands of animals alive inside a moving steel container in the middle of the ocean. Fewer still think about the mechanics of time. How feed schedules, motion cycles, and ventilation rhythms must all align with ship movement and port deadlines. What seems like a simple trade operation, cattle exported from Brazil to the Middle East, from Australia to Southeast Asia, is in reality a moving puzzle where every piece is alive, reactive, and vulnerable. This is agricultural engineering at its most extreme. Biothermal equations are used like load models for bridges. Livestock engineers must calculate metabolic heat production, stress thresholds, and space optimization, the same way civil engineer plans dynamic traffic flows. It's not enough to know how many bulls fit inside a ship. One must predict how they will behave after 12 hours of motion, how gas buildup affects breathing, how water intake shifts under heat stress, and what happens when waves disrupt balance. To move millions of bulls across the world is to manage life in motion, and to do it without applause, without visibility, without pause. It's an invisible machinery of precision, designed not to amaze but to function, flawlessly, relentlessly. Yet once revealed, it's impossible to look away, because behind every container of living muscle is a network of steel, circuits, and intelligence, operating in silence so that the world keeps eating. Next, we go inside that equation, where heat, gases, and microclimates define survival. Inside a livestock ship, heat doesn't just rise. It circulates, stagnates, and transforms. And when that heat mixes with ammonia, carbon dioxide, and moisture released from thousands of animals, the environment becomes a fragile ecosystem that must be engineered with surgical precision. In the world of bull transport, survival isn't only about feed, space, or stability. It's about chemistry. More specifically, it's about managing what the animals themselves emit, and how that invisible byproduct moves through confined space. Contrary to instinct, the main threat isn't temperature alone. It's ammonia, a gas produced from the decomposition of urea and feces. In static sea conditions with low external airflow, ammonia doesn't dissipate. It settles, concentrates, and irritates the respiratory system of every animal on board. The consequences are silent but severe: reduced oxygen absorption, increased stress levels, and in prolonged exposure, death. And yet, for decades, the key ventilation metrics in livestock ships focused on ambient temperature, not on what's happening at muzzle level, where the animals actually breathe. That's where the concept of biothermal load changes the equation. It's a metric that considers not just heat, but the total emissions from live weight. Every kilogram of living animal mass produces energy, moisture, carbon dioxide, and volatile compounds. When 800 bulls stand shoulder to shoulder in a confined deck, that biothermal load builds quickly. It's not just about cooling the space. It's about managing metabolic exhaust on a system-wide level. Engineers who ignore this compound load risk creating microclimates of toxic air that form not from external heat, but from the life force of the cargo itself. To deal with this invisible hazard, ventilation systems had to evolve. Early designs relied on overhead fans that pushed hot air downward, but in reality, these systems created stratified layers of poor air, trapping heavier gases near the ground. The breakthrough came when engineers adapted ventilation logic from chemical tankers, ships that transport volatile compounds and use negative pressure to pull harmful gases downward and out. Livestock vessels began using high-efficiency axial fans beneath the corrals, creating an upward air turnover that drew ammonia and CO2 out from the breathing zone and pushed fresh air from below. The result? Lower stress, reduced fatalities, and more predictable transport conditions. The best metaphor here isn't agricultural, it's mechanical. Each bull is a passive engine. It takes in energy, and it releases byproducts, heat, gases, and moisture. Left unvented, that exhaust builds until it chokes the system. A well-designed livestock ship functions like an automated exhaust management system, detecting emissions, redirecting flows, and evacuating waste gases with constant, reactive adjustments. Sensors now track ammonia concentration, relative humidity, and temperature per compartment, not just to optimize ventilation, but to predict when intervention is needed before conditions turn critical. This system doesn't just keep the animals comfortable, it keeps them alive. And in a transit that can last 10 to 20 days, crossing climates, time zones, and ocean currents, that difference is everything. Keeping bulls in motion is not just about horsepower and hulls. It's about understanding that every living body is an engine, and that survival depends on managing the invisible load that engine generates. Ahead, we explore what happens when all that weight starts to move, and why traditional suspensions aren't enough to keep up. Before we shift gears and explore the hydraulic intelligence behind moving live weight on wheels, take a second to check the pinned comment. If you're the kind of person who appreciates the engineering that keeps agriculture in motion, what you'll find there was made with you in mind. A bull doesn't stay still. It shifts, adjusts, leans against others. Now multiply that by 90, packed inside a moving trailer navigating uneven terrain. Every curve, every deceleration, every pothole transforms that live cargo into a dynamic load. Not fixed, not predictable, and certainly not uniform. In traditional logistics, weight is distributed and static. In livestock transport, weight has a mind of its own. When a group of bulls moves in unison, even slightly, they generate not just force, but coordinated momentum. On a tight curve, the lateral pressure from a full trailer of moving animals can spike axle loads by more than 30% in seconds. Without compensation, that pressure transfers directly into the chassis, creating torsional stress that builds with each bend and bump. It's not the kind of stress you can see until it's too late. A fractured frame, a compromised axle, a failure in motion. The danger isn't in the total weight, but in its variability. Most route planners calculate distances and gradients, but few factor in the kinetic unpredictability of live animals. Unlike pallets or fuel tanks, bulls react to noise, to vibration, to the sudden jolt of brakes. They brace, they surge, and every movement sends shockwaves through the mechanical spine of the convoy. That's why the solution couldn't come from inside agriculture. It came from mining. Mining haul trucks, some of the most robust vehicles on Earth, face similar stresses from shifting loads over rough terrain. The innovation they use: multi-point hydraulic dampening systems. These systems don't just cushion impact. They read it. Sensors distributed across the trailer detect movement surges, load imbalances, and vibration frequencies in real time. Then, hydraulic pistons recalibrate pressure at multiple points to absorb the shock and stabilize the frame, not after the fact, but as it happens. This mining-borne technology is now reshaping livestock transport. In the cattle regions of Mato Grosso, a fleet of long-haul trailers was on the brink of decommission due to frame fatigue. Engineers retrofitted the units with distributed hydraulic feedback systems, the same logic used to stabilize dump trucks in open-pit operations. The result was a dramatic reduction in axle failures, smoother load transitions, and better animal condition upon arrival. The system didn't just protect the vehicle, it protected the cargo by keeping the mechanical environment consistent, even when the biological one was in flux. To understand the logic, imagine the trailer as a spinal column. Each axle is a vertebra, designed to flex, adjust, and realign with every pressure wave that runs through the body. When one part absorbs too much force without support from the others, the whole system weakens. But when every axle responds autonomously, adjusting in microseconds to changes in live weight, the integrity of the structure holds. It's not about rigidity, it's about intelligent flexibility. In the world of live animal transport, strength alone is not enough. What matters is responsiveness. Because when 40 tons of living muscle begins to move, the vehicle must do more than carry the load. It must dance with it. Next, we reach the final layer of this operation, where sensors, AI, and behavioral feedback come together to engineer life in motion. At first glance, transporting bulls may seem like a rural routine. Trucks, ships, loading ramps. But underneath that surface lies one of the most advanced logistical systems in modern agriculture, a system that balances heat, stress, weight, space, and motion with mathematical precision. A system where sensors read the invisible, hydraulic dampers react in real time, and environmental controls function like life support systems. Moving bulls is not just about moving animals. It's about managing an active, living equation, one where each variable can compromise the whole. This operation reveals a new frontier in agricultural mechanics. It's no longer enough to build strong trailers or large ships. The future belongs to systems that predict, adapt, and preserve. That's why livestock transport is beginning to resemble the most sophisticated branches of precision agriculture. Onboard systems monitor vital parameters: temperature, air composition, hydration levels, while predictive algorithms calculate micro-adjustments in airflow, density, and hydration cycles. These machines no longer just carry the herd, they respond to it. In New Zealand, a pilot program has taken this logic even further. Using AI and biometric sensors, a dynamic corral system was tested aboard a livestock ship. The goal: to adjust animal density mid-voyage based on real-time data from thermal sensors and heart rate monitors. The walls of the pens shifted, micro-expanding or retracting depending on stress indicators, creating a live feedback loop between animal behavior and spatial control. The results were promising. Mortality dropped. Feed intake stabilized. The ship didn't just transport animals, it interacted with them. What emerges from this technological evolution is a powerful metaphor. Livestock trailers and oceanic corrals have become mobile ecosystems, living, breathing machines that regulate themselves across thousands of kilometers. They operate like moving greenhouses, controlling internal climates, waste cycles, and stress loads while in constant motion. Each one is a biome of steel, hydraulics, and code, engineered not only to endure, but to care. And this raises a final question, not technical, but strategic. If we are capable of such precision to protect animals in motion, why are so many static stages of food transport still governed by inefficiency, loss, and unpredictability? What if the same principles applied to livestock convoys? Real-time data, adaptive systems, biological feedback were extended across the entire cold chain, from farm to warehouse, from container to shelf. The movement of bulls across oceans is more than a transport feat. It's a reflection of how far agro-logistics has come and how much further it can go. Because behind every stake, every shipment, every moving trailer, there's not just an animal in motion. There's a system, a mind, an engineering intelligence that refuses to stand still. This is the invisible machinery that feeds the world, and it's only getting smarter. This entire system operates out of sight, yet it touches every plate, every port, every mile of the global food chain. And if this is just one piece of the puzzle, imagine what's revealed when you look closer. There's something in the pinned comment that connects everything you've just seen. Take a moment and follow the thread.